Hi, y'all. This is Kristen Chenoweth.
Hi, I'm Gloria Stefan.
This is Sarah Bareilles.
Hi, I'm Patty Lapone.
This is Lin-Manuel Miranda. You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Hello, I'm Jesse McAnally.
And I'm Andrew DeWolf.
And welcome to Musicals with Cheese, the podcast where I try to get Andrew to like musical theater. And you guys, we have an extra special returning guest, and it's been way too long since they've been on. Truly, it is one of the few crimes I've committed, but you gotta find out the rest. Please join me in welcoming comedian, songwriter, brilliant mind, and number 1 Green Day fan, Garret Snook, or Ilneige, from the Twitters and the YouTubes. How are you doing, Garret?
I am so excited that I get to try to convince Andrew to be a Green Day fan now.
Oh, it's not gonna work. I'm sorry.
Just give in. You will have the time of your life.
He's too lost in the boulevard of broken dreams, sadly.
Oh my god. Why are you referencing the ballads? Those are the ones I like the least.
What, you don't like 21 Guns and the random Full House tribute in the middle?
I know, it's right in there.
Apparently that was in there because I guess while they were making the album, they just passed some time watching a bunch of Full House reruns. And that's how it snuck its way in.
Billy Joe Armstrong with his knees to his chin just watching Uncle Jesse decide to get a haircut. And really be invested.
He's like, this is it. This is going in the next song.
Don't do it, Uncle Jesse! Don't let the record label ruin your cover of that one Beach Boys song!
Yeah, it's the only song he knows, but he's good at that song. So Green Day.
Green Day.
Yeah, I don't know how to lead into this, but I know I got a lot of things to do. This week, in case you haven't picked up what we're throwing down, we're talking about the Green Day jukebox musical, American Idiot. Cue the music.
Don't wanna be an American idiot. Don't want a nation under the new media. Hey, can you hear the sound of hysteria? This subliminal mindfuck America. Welcome to a new kind of tension all across the alien nation, where everything isn't meant to be okay. Television dreams of tomorrow. We're not the ones with the follow, for that's enough to argue.
So American Idiot is a music... I want to try that again. American Idiot is like...
the music!
That was 2 weeks ago. Directed by Sia.
We're doing it again!
Hey!
We tricked you!
1 + 1, Garrett. Meet a boy and meet a girl. 1 + 1. So American Idiot is a musical written by Billy Joe Armstrong and Michael Mayer with music and lyrics by Green Day and Billy Joe Armstrong, based on American Idiot by Green Day. The musical opened at the St. James Theater on Broadway. I have my St. James Theater little pendant right here, so I thought that was relevant. With previews beginning March 24th, 2010. It officially opened on April 20th, 2010, 420 Blaze It. The story, expanded from that of the album, centers on 3 disaffected young men, Johnny, Will, and Tunny. Johnny and Tunny flee a stifling suburban lifestyle with parental restrictions, while Will stays at home to work out his relationship with his pregnant girlfriend, Heather. The former pair look for meaning in life and try out the freedom and excitement of the city. Tunny quickly gives up on life in the city and joins the military and is shipped off to war. Johnny turns to drugs and finds part of himself that he grows to dislike, has a relationship, and experiences lost love. And all this done in less than 90 minutes. You can do it, Broadway, if you believe it.
No intermission, also.
Love it. Love it. Perfect. It's like Jesus Christ Superstar. It's like The Who's Tommy. It is all the things that you want in like those album to stage experiences. Unlike Jagged Little Pill, which is the worst version of one of those.
Oh, goodness.
Don't I hate Jagged Little Pill. Garrett, this has been your white whale on this show since we started.
Pretty much, like after we did Pokemon Live. Oh no, I think the first time we talked, you said like any musicals you're interested in. Like I could be down for American Idiot, or this is a long shot Pokemon Live, and you're like, oh, we're doing Pokemon Live. But I'm glad
always a chaotic option.
But I'm glad we're making the rounds back again to get to. I don't even know if this is one of my favorite musicals or anything, but this is one of my. It's based on one of like my all-time favorite albums of life.
That makes sense. I know, Garrett, you're gonna have a good long explanation, but for comedy purposes, I'm gonna start with Andrew. Andrew, do you have any history with Green Day whatsoever?
Yeah, I mean, I was. Oh man, we were talking before the episode started here, and yes, I was alive during 2004, so I know all the fucking Green Day songs.
But you don't know anything about Jennifer Lopez.
I don't know anything about Jennifer Lopez other than the goddamn South Park episode.
And I have even less knowledge of Green Day. Garrett, you're gonna really, really hate me. My first and really big exposure to Green Day was the commercial for Kids Bop 9.
Oh, with that amazing cover of Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
No, wake me up when September ends.
Oh my god.
Summer has come and passed. The innocent can never last. Wake me up when September ends. Like the time has come to pass. 7 years has gone so fast. Wake me up when September ends.
And I just remember it playing like every fifth commercial, and you got these kids like, wake me up when September ends.
Have
like,
all of
wow.
their fathers come to pass? Like, is this the orphan choir?
I think they might have changed the lyrics to like, being sad that school's back
Like,
and being real hopeful.
Summer break has come to pass. Goodness.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, so that's my limited experience before tackling this show. Garrett, let's talk about Green Day and your relationship to them.
My relationship with Green Day began in earnest. In like 2003, I picked up their CD Nimrod only because it had two song titles I recognized. That was the one that had Nice Guys Finish Last and Time of Your Life. And from there, I just ravenously devoured everything. So I think by the time American Idiot had come out, I had all of their previous albums. I was learning guitar at this time, and most of my songwriting approach and knowledge and everything just came from one man from Oakland, California, banging out the same three chords over and over again. And and I've just I've been a true blue Green Day fan since. I haven't seen them live as many times as like the more hardcore people have, but I've seen the American Idiot tour, seen their Revolution Radio tour, and I just it's a lot of eyeliner.
Did you put eyeliner on today?
I did not. I could not find it. I was gonna do like were my hair shorter, I would have spiked it up in black and everything, but I can't pull that look off quite as much anymore.
Okay. And did you see American Idiot when it was originally on stage or in its many tours?
I saw I forget which, it was the Amundsen Theater or it was a different one in California, but I saw it with my mother and a whole lot of season pass holders who did not know what they were signing up for.
I love it.
Yeah, my mom actually got more out of the musical than I think I did. She's a boomer, and so she lived through Vietnam, and her first husband was actually a veteran. So whether the show handles it well or not, a lot of how it dives into substance abuse and everything, she actually resonated a lot with that. But again, I'll never get over standing up, my mom turning to this very, very old woman sitting next to her, saying, "Did you love it?" And this old woman just saying, "Not really." I don't think she enjoyed the more graphic segment of "Give Me Novocaine." That's when the thrusting happens.
Yes. I love season pass holders. That's the reason why you go to a tour show. That's the joy of it. I struggle with this show. I've struggled with this show for a long time. And the same way I struggle with a lot of shows of this ilk, where it just feels incomplete as a piece of theater, where it feels like a little square peg round hole to me, where it feels, especially with this one, it feels, I didn't feel this until this recent rewatch of the bootleg, it feels very much in 2009 stage Broadway theater stylings, specifically with Michael Mayer, who just came off of Spring Awakening to do this, and I just see a lot of that stylings, which I think sadly dates a lot of what is really impressive stuff, and I think that they were so focused on not your dad's Broadway that they kind of get lost in the set design a bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the very nice scaffolding that gets turned around a whole bunch to be different things.
Broadway loves scaffolding. It's their favorite fucking thing in the whole world.
The only thing they love more than that is staircases. Like this guy, Michael Mayer, who is like the second collaborator on this, the second biggest person outside of Billie Joe Armstrong, would go on to do some interesting things, but he didn't really improve it. He just duplicated it. Specifically for things like the Hedwig and the Angry Inch revival with Neil Patrick Harris, where it feels very similar and very much like let's be transgressive for the sake of being transgressive. And I feel like this would almost work better as a movie. Like, I wish this had gotten like the Who's Tommy treatment, where we had like a weird kind of film, which was something that was going to happen for a period with Billie Joe Armstrong reprising Saint Jimmy in the film, but that fell apart sadly over many years. But as a piece, like I think I would have just preferred the album, because theater people don't sing rock very good.
It's especially noticeable here because they're not doing the pop punk voice. There's a very particular pop punk voice that maybe is invented by the Green Day guy, but everybody else imitated it too. And
the fake British accent.
All the small things, true care, truth brings. Do you have the time to listen to me whine about nothing and everything all at once?
That was, when I first got the soundtrack, that was the most jarring thing to keep revisiting, is how everybody had such perfect enunciation.
It's just, especially with John Gallagher Jr. as the lead, it just screams Spring Awakening in my ears, where it just feels like, you know, these CMU graduates being like, I'm going to be really edgy. I love to rock.
Don't want to be an American idiot. This woman leaves behind a suffering child.
And it's almost tolerable during the songs, but in the in-between, when he's like delivering the monologues to the audience, like, that's when it's like, I don't know what voice we're doing here. But when you see Billie Joe Armstrong come in and the few clips we have of him as Saint Jimmy, oh my God, it's a different show.
Such a different energy too, because at least on the original cast recording and the performance I saw, I think they typically try to cast Saint Jimmy as more of like a high metal Axl Rose kind of type. But then, and that's partially to differentiate, because you have all these songs written to be sung by one man now having to be shared among, you know, 3 male leads who all have very similar vocal qualities just by virtue of like the range they need to have. So let's bring in this guy to do a bunch of like kick-ass Geddy Lee squeals, but then, you know, for the time that Billie Joe had to fill in, it's like back to like, oh no, it's this very like, you know, raw vocal quality, the fake British accent.
I think it works. I think it's better. I like Tony Vincent. He's a very talented vocalist, and he was the original Saint Jimmy. Doesn't do it for me. Doesn't scratch that part of my brain. Same for a lot of the other cast members. They all just so. Let me get off my Broadway soapbox, and we'll talk about this show proper.
You're fine.
All Broadway singers are kind of taught in the same way because there's only 3 big Broadway schools that they really go to. So everyone kind of sounds the same now. Everyone, they call it the Carnegie Mellon sound. So that's why we don't have distinctive voices anymore, and why if you get a Lin-Manuel Miranda on stage, technically he's in tune, technically he's singing well, but because it doesn't just sound exactly like Aaron Tveit, you're immediately like, that's bad. And the problem is, if they try to do anything like jukeboxy, which Broadway is wont to do lately, it sounds completely incorrect. And passionless is a big one. I would like to know, this is like a free-flowing plot, but I would like to hear the plot described. Whoever wants to take the ball there.
I cannot take the ball here. I'm sorry. I cannot. You could hold a gun to my head. I could not tell you what happened in this.
I'll give
not with a clarity.
I'll take this one. I can give you the album and then how that's adapted.
I would love that, actually.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the album is a lot more straightforward. It's because it only has one protagonist who he's just ambiguously disaffected by the modern political landscape. Why wouldn't you be? It was the Bush administration, and I believe he's not given. I don't think he's given a name in the liner notes of anything. He's just the Jesus of Suburbia, but. Late teens, early 20s, he's like, okay, well, screw this town. I'm going to go to where something's happening, which I believe is like, it's the East Bay. Oh, no, I don't know why I'm saying that. Like, it's not clear. They reference the East Bay multiple times. So they're in Northern California. He falls into drug culture, falls into, like, what he thinks is a revolutionary mindset. By the end of it, though, it turns out, I'm not standing for anything. I'm just getting high and being an asshole. And that's the persona Saint Jimmy that comes out. Which I think is kind of a reference to Quadrophenia by The Who, because that has a song called Dr. Jimmy, where it's a very similar premise of having this like altered persona who's just a drunk piece of shit. And so by the end of the rock opera, he's learned like, okay, well, this didn't work out. I've alienated the love of my life. I'm going to go back home and be very sad about her, if nothing else.
I was just going to lead you into talking about the musical and the differences there.
For sure. Well, the musical, like, Johnny is like the Jesus of Suburbia, same arc, same plot trajectory for him, but they add on, the 2 additional friends, Tunny and Will, and I think that's more like out of necessity of not having a core cast consisting of 2 people, because, 3 people technically. The album just has Jesus of Suburbia, Saint Jimmy, and what's her name. That's not much to build a show around, so...
I disagree. It just wouldn't be a show that would be a big Broadway hit with the ensemble voices and all that. But you could do a last 5-year style musical, and I think that would be compelling, grungier, and on a smaller stage. Like, just thinking of that in my mind, I'm like, yeah, but then you wouldn't have all these TVs and all these people flying in the air.
The projections.
You gotta have the spectacle. The spectacle is what brings people in, especially with a jukebox show like this.
With like a military, kind of but also Bush analog, but also the actors like black, and they're doing like I don't know who this guy's supposed to be in the Favorite Son number. But,
well, the thing is, they don't want to piss off the conservatives because they buy tickets the same as anyone else, so they can put whatever face. Being black, it is 2009. They could say Obama.
Oh, dang! Take that, libs. Okay.
That is kind of how moderate Broadway people think.
That is true. Still an observation, but that's how you get the first prominent rap musical, by being about the whitest thing ever. With Hamilton.
With the most late Obama politics I've ever heard that makes it almost impossible to revisit anymore.
God.
Oh, yeah, you can't.
We're so optimistic about our political future. Nothing good. We did it. We ended everything. Everything's great now. We fixed it. We didn't throw away our shot.
Anyway, so the musical plot, it still has that same core plot for the Jesus of Suburbia or Johnny, but then they add on Will, who he's just, you touched on this in the summary, Jess, but he's just stuck at home, not doing much of anything, which...
on his couch.
Big mood, but at the same time...
character.
Yep. and then you have Tunny, who goes off and joins the military, has his own thing, and that's where the character of What's-Her-Name kind of gets split off into 2 characters, because the original album has the songs She's a Rebel and Extraordinary Girl back to back. they're the same song with different styles because they're about the same person. The Extraordinary Girl becomes her own character that Tunney meets when he's on his tour. Also, fun fact, the name Tunney came from the liner notes of the album because one of the lyric sheets, it's for the segment Rock and Roll Girlfriend. It just says, like, it's written as a postcard, like, check it out, man. Rock and roll house, rock and roll car, blah, blah, blah. And it's just signed Tunney. So just this throwaway line at the bottom of a postcard is where they get this name for a major character in the show.
I love things like that are placating to the, or not pandering, but like trying to address the fans, because people read those liner notes, people will go in and be accepted of that. I know we're not quite done with the plot, but I do wonder how much crossover is there with the classical musical theater people and Green Day fans?
I can't imagine a ton. It is a rock opera, but it's a heavier emphasis on, the rock, because even the album's very short. Like, it's not very short, but it's standard album length. It doesn't get super long in the tooth like Tommy or Quadrophenia would. It's
closer to like a Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
Which Billy Joe Armstrong has a tattoo of on his, I believe, his right arm, just of that logo. And he's like, I never even saw the show, but I just thought the logo looked cool.
Damn, dude, that's so punk, bro.
I can't even disagree. I'm like, fuck you, that's cool.
All the Broadway fans who would go up and try to punk gatekeep to him, like, favorite song from the record, go, huh? Who's your favorite? What favorite? Record? Like, who hit the high note on the Y best?
Fuck you, that's who, man.
I don't know, Jesus.
Oh. Watch, he just says, Lin.
Everyone's favorite Broadway actor, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I thought he was a Disney actor.
He's not overexposed at all.
I think he's taken a step back. Good for him.
Yeah.
Like, until, Lion King Mufasa returns and we get him on the
so
press.
Excited about that.
Is it called Mufasa Returns?
No,
it should be.
It should be. It's
called
called
Mufasa Arrives, because it's actually a prequel.
It's
Lion Mufasa King
story.
of Thieves.
I love, I just, not to go on a stupid Lion King tangent, but I love that Elton John was so pissed. Like, they didn't even ask me to come back for the Mufasa movie.
They're like, wait, he's still alive?
How many farewell concerts do you need to give, Elton?
It's like Brett Favre retiring.
But back to American Idiot, like, I don't know if you saw the documentary Broadway Idiot about the making of this and Billy Joe Armstrong writing a Broadway show and adapting to the theater world. It's a very interesting documentary from the point of view of rock and roll, or punk really, entering the Broadway scene and having to adjust to that. And Billy Joe Armstrong basically being like, okay, warming up to the idea of playing the role and how much work it's going to be in performing and acting and all that, which is neat. But on the other hand, I just look at these shows of milquetoast white people not giving the energy that they should toward the music.
Oh, goodness. I mean, I forget who did it, but there was it was perfectly encapsulated. There was might have been a TikTok, might have been pre-TikTok, but it's just, American Idiot in a nutshell. George W. Bush, we say no, 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 no on holiday. Like that. It's not even inaccurate.
But I think the Bush era criticism follows through to today a lot better than a lot of early 2000s work.
Oh yeah, 2016. My go-to treadmill soundtrack was just throwing on American Idiot. It got me so mad, but also amped up.
And as it should. And now my next question is: does Green Day still produce music? Are they still a big relevant band that still releases new stuff?
Did you miss the New Year's Eve controversy where a bunch of Republican punks were shocked to find out that Green Day had left-leaning views?
I mean,
doesn't that happen like every day? There's some fucking people that are like, "Wait, Rage Against the Machine is left-leaning? What?"
But it's not Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve. Whoever is it? Carson Daly? Who am I saying?
They still say Dick Clark, but it's like, Anderson Cooper and all those other people.
Or frickin' Seacrest. I think Seacrest hosts it now. But
yeah,
they changed the line redneck agenda to I'm not a part of a MAGA agenda. And everyone's like, good lord. Like, if they had monocles to be pops.
I didn't know that's what they meant by that.
But yeah,
I thought they didn't want to be farmers.
But yeah, since American Idiot, Green Day has produced, I think, is it 6 albums? Because after that, they had 21st Century Breakdown, several songs of which were reincorporated into this to add a few more songs, or had like segments of those songs worked into the American Idiot numbers, just to give it a bit more length and a bit more to chew on. In 2013, they released the Uno Dos Tres trilogy, which was 3 albums in the same year, none of which I would call essential listening for even Green. There is no single album that like justifies its own existence. You could have pared them down to a single decent thing, but they were going through some stuff. This is the same year that Billy Joe had his meltdown at the iHeartRadio Festival. The
5 minutes. Fuck you. 5 minutes.
I'm not Justin fucking Bieber. That was that night.
Oh, great.
Then in 2015, I believe, that was the release of Revolution Radio, which I think is their 3rd best album. 2019 was, I think it was 2019. Somebody's going to be checking me on these dates, but was Father of All Motherfuckers. And just earlier this year they put out Saviors. So they're still keeping up. I don't know if they're like they're still legacied into rock radio station rotations, but I don't know. I don't think Green Day is necessarily still like a driving force in rock like they were in 2004.
We brought this up in our last episode when we were talking about Jennifer Lopez, and forgive me if we're going to be showing our age.
We're going to talk about Green Day and J-Lo. We're definitely not
as far
aged.
as early 2000s work. So when we were kids, like all of us, we would have our parents listening to their music from when they were young, and we would think, oh, that's old classic music. And now that we're like 30s, like approaching 30, I don't know how old you are, Garrett, but I'm assuming you're 30 or around there.
I'm 34.
Yeah. So is it now that Green Day, the oldies to these kids today, and we are the old fuddy-duddies that look...
I mean, Green Day, some of their early stuff is the 90s. So.
94 was their first big breakthrough.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
we are around the age that Billy and the boys were when they put out American Idiot.
It's a weird time to be alive. Which means, like, is it a cultural zeitgeist? Do you think Green Day will have another resurgence where suddenly they will hit again big?
I don't know if it'll be with a new album necessarily. They've been kind of... because ever since American Idiot, it's been a little bit like, what do we do now? Because 21st Century Breakdown was very much, what if American Idiot was longer and had a less coherent plot? Then the trilogy album was like power pop, but also garage, but also whatever the hell they wanted. Their 2019 album was very garage rock, and it is also the shortest album they've ever put out, and may or may not have just been so they could get out of their contract. That said, every time I go on TikTok and see little baby pop punkers, getting into the fashion and everything, they're still playing Basket Case and Boulevard of Broken Dreams. So those at least are going to remain standards as far as I can tell.
And now to redirect back to the musical, do you think the musical is a good representation of the story? Like, I know there's no way of saying you prefer the musical. Do you like what it does with the work, and do you think it is transformative enough to be its own thing?
I do enjoy some of the arrangements they came up with, even with the weird diction, the over-enunciation, and even I was going to fish out my physical copy to confirm this, but there are several points in the album where people misheard certain lyrics in the exact same way. And those malapropisms, is that the word? I don't know. But those actually get incorporated.
I think so, yeah.
Those get incorporated into the show lyrics. During Letter Bomb, the original lyric, I believe, is I'll tow them back. But everybody thinks that he was saying, well, don't look back. So in the show, What's-Her-Name is saying, well, don't look back.
And now the question is, was that decision made by Michael Mayer or Billy Joe Armstrong? Like, which one...
That I wouldn't be surprised if it was the director, because like, what is alto? in that context saying, I'll tow them back. Like, you're going to go and, like, where have all the martyrs gone when the virus cures itself? And where will we go when it's too late? I'll tow them back. Like, cool.
Get on the boat.
Okay.
Get on the towboat.
I think it was a little bit of like whatever the creative version of work smarter not harder is. Like, yeah, sure, like I'm sure you felt something very deep when you wrote this at the time, but let's make it a little bit easier for the theater crowd here.
I guess, and the theater crowd did surprisingly come to this with open arms. If we can move on to our review segment for a bit, and look at Charles Isherwood's review from 420 Blaze at 2010, which I'm just going to dive into. The title is Stomping onto Broadway with a Punk Temper Tantrum. Rage and love, those consuming emotions felt with a particularly acute pang in youth, all but burn up the stage in American Idiot, the thrillingly raucous and gorgeously wrought Broadway musical adapted from the blockbuster pop-punk album by Green Day. Pop on Broadway, sure. But punk? Yes, indeed. And served straight up. I fucking hate New York Times reviews.
Dangerous.
I defend the right for them to review, but God, they are like the most boring white bread men. Served straight up with each sneering lyric and snarling riff in place. A stately old pile of steps from the tourist-clogged Times Square might seem a strange place for the music of Green Day, and for the theater this blunt, bold, and aggressive in its attitude, not to mention loud. But from the moment the curtain rises on a panorama...
The salt in my ears is so loud.
They said fuck!
It's clear that these kids are going to make themselves at home, even if it means tearing up the place in the process. In any case, the music is thrilling, charged with urgency, rich in memorable melody, and propulsive rhymes that sometimes evolve mid-song. The orchestrations by Tom Kitt, the composer of Next Normal, move from lean and mean to lush, befitting the tone of each number. Even if you are unfamiliar with Green Day's music, you are more likely to emerge from this show humming one of the guitar riffs than you are to find a tune from the Addams Family tickling your memory. Just gotta stab another show while it's down. But the emotional charge the show generates is as memorable as the music. American Idiot jolts you right back to the dizzying roller coaster of young adulthood, that turbulent time when ecstasy and misery almost seem interchangeable states, sides of the coin of exhaustion. It captures with a piercing intensity that moment in life when everything seems possible and nothing seems worth doing. Or maybe it's the other way around. I think that's a fairly old man's like, I appreciate this warmly enough.
Yeah. That last bit too, it's very much because this is the flavor of the disaffection is very Gen X, I would say. So I mean, because like that's what all the boys in the band are. So yeah, it's like everything seems possible, but nothing's worth doing. Like, yeah, I watched Empire Records, I get it.
Do we agree with this review?
I thought the Addams Family thing was a total non sequitur until I'm like, oh wait, there was a musical on the stage at the same time.
Yeah. He's just being a little catty and crass.
For sure. It's I don't know if it keeps you like, you know, he's a little overhyping the energy, I'd say. Some of these arrangements, some of the picks, I would say, for adding on to the track list are a little questionable. Again, like, it's American Idiot's like a perfect album, so finding places to insert extra stuff. I don't agree with all the choices they made. I would have cut Last Night on Earth, like, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't feel long. It doesn't feel bloated in the way that it could have.
I think as far as a review on this show, this is agreeable enough compared to some of the other stuff we read.
Let's compare our opinions to those of the crazy people on Letterboxd.com. It's time for Preview's Letterboxd game. Garrett, do you remember how this game goes?
I do. We're guessing out of context quotes if these are positive or negative reviews, right?
Yep, real reviews on Letterboxd.com. I'm not doctoring them in any way. You just don't know whether they're 1-star or 5-star. Andrew, you're up first.
Okay.
Watched on Freevee.
What the fuck, dude? Come on. You can't do that. Okay.
I just did.
Watched on Freevee.
Oh, and for context, this is for the Broadway Idiot documentary, which I think is good.
But related to it. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, watched on Freevee. you know, who the fuck goes on Freevee? You must have sought it out, right? So we're gonna say 5 on that one.
That is correct, Garrett. Shout out to my 15-year-old self who got given tickets to see this musical on her birthday and was so excited she vomited.
Am I guessing positive, negative, or like how many stars out of 5?
1 star or 5 star. It's a binary.
Oh, okay.
It's either or.
Okay. Shout out to my 15-year-old self. I guess that's a 5 star.
Garrett, I'm so sorry. The vomited made it a 1 star.
Oh no!
They threw up so bad they didn't want to see the show anymore.
Oh.
Andrew.
Yep.
LMAO @ Donald Trump attending opening night.
Wait, for fucking real?
Yeah,
Are
he
you
was
kidding?
there. Yeah, he was
in
there.
New
Oh
York.
my.
So was Whoopi Goldberg. A lot of people were there opening night.
What's the Garfield meme with the circle with the cross and it's
I wonder
him?
who
I wonder
that
that's
is.
for.
I love Billy Joel Armstrong. He has a lot of good points. His music gets me up and it makes me feel good. I don't agree with
Eyeliner,
everything, but
terrific makeup, the changing hair color.
Joe Biden is an American idiot, not like me. I would not.
Uh,
We're gonna give that a 5 stars. 5 stars.
that is correct.
That was a
Garrett.
pure guess.
Hard to believe a punk rock band made a rock opera and accidentally fell in love with theater.
I feel like you're trying to psych me out, but I'm gonna guess that's a 5 star.
That's a 1.
What?
Jess, what the fuck? Why are you doing this to him?
Why are they writing these this way? I don't blame Jess. I blame whoever doesn't understand how the star system works.
I'm so sorry.
It's
And
still
I
better than did I just watch Butler put Jirachi in a milking machine? That's one you gave me for Pokemon Live.
I remember. Garrett, did we ever tell you that when we did our live show at Broadway Con, someone brought us the Pokemon cards for the Pokemon you compared us to?
I still have
I
one.
saw the tweets.
Yeah. That was surreal.
Mine's hanging up on a cork board in my house.
All right.
Love it.
Andrew, you've won this, so I'm not reading you another one. I'm reading Garrett another one to see if we can get him on the board.
Okay.
You're up 2.
Yeah, there's no
All
way.
right.
And this is the last one. Enjoyed. I feel this is an ad for the show because we don't see a ton of it.
Oh, I keep forgetting these are for Broadway, idiot. Not the actual musical. 1?
No. That is a 5,
I
Garrett.
am 0 for 3.
Oh my fucking god, that sucks.
I'm on a hot streak. Let's keep it going.
Can't stop now. Let him rock.
Speaking of hot streaks, how about we go into a mid-show and then we talk about some of these songs? Hey guys, sorry to interrupt you in the middle of the show, but we've got a show to you. Today's show is brought to you by the extremely kind donations by our donors over at Patreon. Patreon's this lovely place where you can give us money and we can get a little bit more money to exist and feed ourselves, you know. Andrew, our $100 patron, Catherine Shawcross, gave you a little thing to read. How about you read it for us?
Oh boy, I've done this like 4 times, but I'll do it again. Sappening lad, that's boss, that. I'll have a chicken teriyaki and a can of Coke.
Apparently it's a reference
Wish I knew
to
what that
something.
meant. I wish I knew what it meant.
It's a
Could
Polly
be literal
Shore.
gibberish. Polly Shore. I like the idea that Polly Shore just says this to himself if that's the case. Andrew, who's currently supporting us on Patreon?
All right, our current patrons are, and I'll try to go quick, but there's a lot. My God. Danielle Renix, Justice Stampede, Ewan Cassidy, Monica Thoreau, Brent Black, Nathaniel Stacy Coombe, Joseph Evans Green. No, he's gone. Scratch that. Reverse it. Mary Lou Choquette, John Vanals, Russ Walker, Musical Hell, Emily Gracie, Kyle Summers, Janae C, Scoot the Technicolor Dreamcoat, Nothing is Certain Except Beth and Taxes, John Vanals, Thespian, Mitchell Young, Chai Teacup, Chris Marcotte, Kiji Marie Anastasio, Trevi Joseph, RJ Noriga, Julia McLennan, Joe, Bjorn Hermans, Toriana Frazier, Sammy the Adequate Amount Jacobson, Kaylee Blazier, Villainous Miss, Sophina Ellie, the Omega Geek Page Pearson, Maddie Wargle, Eliza Erdman, Anna Loskatova, Sarah Den Blaker, Evan Ball, Zachary Torres, Rora Marasso, Mara, Lisa L, Possessed Washing Machine, Nick Roten, Puffy Boy, Sydney Hicks, Annabelle, Billy Clifton, Gold-Plated Kikimora, Aria Artie, Emma, Cara Balda, JRL Studios, Catherine Shawcross, Z Botello, Alexandra Dom, and Gwen Bowman.
They give us money. You should give us money too. And if you give us money, you can see Garrett's wonderful costume right now. This is not
this is not actually a lie. We usually lie, but there's actually a costume.
Yeah, he put work into this. He dressed up for you guys. And I'm sure there's going to be about 5-6 minutes cut out of this, because there's always a couple minutes cut out of every episode. And you will see the extended versions over on patreon.com. All right, are we ready to get back to the show? American Idiot almost sounds like it's made to be an opening number.
Welcome to a new kind of tension all across the alien nation, where everything isn't meant to be okay. Television dreams of tomorrow. We're not the ones meant to follow, for that's enough to argue. Hey!
As an idea, that alone sells this pitch to me of this being a show.
I mean, it kind of is. It's the opening of a concept album, right?
Yep. No overture, just ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
And it's great. Like, it reminds me a lot, and I mean this as a rare compliment, of Rent, and like how that uses rock and punk music to kind of tell a Broadway style story, except this does it a million times better. And it does a lot to show how misguided and dumb our leads are very early on, and it makes it without even a remotest fact. Like, my favorite scene, my favorite series of lines is when our lead character is like, yeah, I stole money from my mom's purse. My mom let me borrow it. I fucking hate my mom. Like, that kind of series of lines where I'm like, oh, I get you, and I know that you're kind of an idiot. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's such clear, concise, theatrical storytelling throughout this show, and I feel like I didn't highlight that enough in our first discussion. But then it kind of meanders.
A little bit. I mean, again, you've got just, all right, they're all in these 3 locations, and they'll be there for a while.
What did you think of it? I mean, it's obviously, but visually, do you think it lived up to what you imagined when you listened to the album, Garrett?
I don't know if I really, what I necessarily imagined, like, listening to it, but I felt that a lot of, like, just, like, a lot of the imagery they go for, just, like, you know, it's a lot of TV static and the projections. I'm like, yeah, this all feels like your patched up vest that you covered in stickers that you bought at Hot Topic and whatnot. And I did enjoy, like, you know, we joked about the scaffolding earlier, but again, just having just a bunch of people climbing on exposed pipes. I'm like, yeah, that's punk. And then you flip it over, and now it's forward, and now we're doing this other thing on it. I don't know why I'm turning into a producer right now.
You're pitching me on the show. I believe it. I think I can see this show. It could make millions on Broadway.
So I've always had a question about the song American Idiot. Like, are the criticisms of American culture, like, genuine? Like, what are they trying to say? Are they the American idiots? Like, what is the deal?
As I've come to understand it, at least, it is, the phrase American Idiot is kind of just, it's just calling out, you know, jingoism, mindless patriotism, you know, again, it's the redneck agenda. It's trying to proudly proclaim whatever your alt identity is in the midst of, we'll put a boot up your ass, America. Who sang that song? I don't know. But it is also sort of self-aware, because again, the entire arc that's already kind of baked into the album and then further explored in the show is, you know, are you, in your rebellion, are you standing for something meaningful, or are you just being a jackass? And that's something that Billy Joe has talked about in interviews when they all hit their 30s and kind of self-consciously had to change up their sound and their approach a bit, because I think this might be the quote. Maybe I'm just paraphrasing, but it's sexy to be an angry young man, but not a bitter old bastard.
It's a critique that you could have of a lot of punk music, I think, where punk is often like high-minded in its political ideologies, but then you look at what punks actually do, and it's mostly just drink and yell and like nothing else.
And are abusive to people and their spouses usually.
It's like, you know, or like as some of them as they age, like you have the guy from the Misfits complaining about, you know, the trans kids these days. I'm like,
a lot of specifically the more pop punk style bands, a lot of them ended up being like industry plants that turned into conservatives in the end.
Yeah,
like
or
the Misfits, or who's the other guys? The
Sex Pistols,
I think. Yeah.
Because and that's kind of the dichotomy there that I think the show is kind of trying to, I don't think it's like digging hard into it, but that is sort of what it's asking is like, are you a Joe Strummer? Are you like too politically engaged? Are you trying to be the righteous soul for something? Or are you just trying to piss off the people who inconvenience you daily? And as soon as you like join the in group, then suddenly like, oh no, like I got mine.
Well, you see a lot of in political spheres, conservatives love being punks or rebels. Yeah. we're rebellious because we say stuff that gets people mad, but the stuff that gets people mad is just I'm an asshole,
or I'm racist, or and that's kind of what, like, I think Billie Joe Armstrong and Green Day in and of itself has ideals, things it actually wants to say, and is self-aware enough to know how to express them in a way that both appeases people that enjoy punk music and actually says what they have to say carefully and clearly.
I walk a lonely road, the only one that I have ever known. I don't know where it goes, but it's home to me, and I walk alone. I walk this empty street on the boulevard of broken dreams, where the city sleeps and I'm the only one, and I walk alone. I walk alone, I walk alone. I walk alone, I walk my shadow's the only one that walks beside me. My shallow heart's the only thing that's beating. Sometimes I wish someone out there will find me. Till then I walk alone.
But then you've got Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Let's move on to another song. Great I Want song in a musical theater structure way. Like, I as far as that goes, that is as perfect a structurally placement there. Like, it is almost like in the If I Were a Rich Man place of Fiddler on the Roof.
And also, it's a pretty the opening 3 tracks, they're all pretty high energy. I mean, also after the 10-minute rock suite, it's like, okay, we had that, we had Holiday, so slow down, chill, put the cool tremolo effect on the guitar.
And then it's a beautiful, actually, like, this is where the voices actually do well, are the ballads. Like this and Wake Me Up When September Ends, I think that these classically trained Broadway voices suit them fairly well, and it feels a little less disingenuous here. When What's-Her-Name's harmony comes in at the end, this whole soundtrack has hijacked how I listen to, like, the actual album half the time. If I hear just the original version of Boulevard, in my head, I'll still have, I walk this empty street on the boulevard. I hear her harmony in my head as I'm listening to it every time. It does change that a bit, and I have that with my own like weird music. Like, I hear the versions from across the universe when I hear the Beatles songs, which is
also Love. The Cirque du Soleil show does the same thing to me when I listen to the Beatles.
So the Beatles is another one that's like,
I hear the Rock-afire Explosion version myself.
We are all very, very smart men who enjoy our music.
I like Showbiz Pizza. I like when the gorilla played the drums.
It was a dog, but yeah.
The fact that you actually that shit pisses me off.
The gorilla plays piano.
Oh, shit.
And you called yourself a music enthusiast,
Get
Garrett.
out of here. As if you know anything about showbiz.
You called yourself an enjoyer of a thing.
Name one song by the Rock-afire Explosion.
Hips don't lie.
Garrett, you found the one kind of hyperfixation Andrew won't let go, the Rock-afire Explosion.
Animatronic bears.
They're very fascinating. I wanted a whole thing. We did like a short episode on it.
Apparently the guy that invented email also made the Rock-afire Explosion.
The guy who claims he invented email. Let's be fair here.
Everyone knows email was invented by Hatsune Miku and Thomas Dolby.
It was the guy who invented whack-a-mole, though.
Okay, I can see that.
St. Jimmy!
My name is Jimmy, and you better not wear out. Suicide commando that your mama talked about. King of the 40 thieves, I'm here to represent the needle in the vein of the establishment. I'm the patron saint of the denial, with an angel face and a taste for suicidal.
How do we feel about St. Jimmy as a representation, the character? Like, it as soon as he comes on stage, I kind of picked up on the twist that they were going for with him, and what they were kind of going. But how do we feel about that representation on the stage as a physical being?
Kind of have to, I think. I would argue, I'm not sure if it's even intended as a twist, because, you know, he and Johnny sing "It's St. Jimmy and That's My Name" together.
I don't know. Broadway does weird things like that sometimes. I mean,
Fair. Because also, like, from the original album, I've never, like, really registered it as a twist there either, necessarily. It took me a while before I understood, like, wait, so this guy killed himself now, and he's, like, unalive? Sorry. I'm going off on the wrong tangent. I do still really appreciate how, again, to differentiate this one voice from the three other male leads, they go, like, okay, well, let's get a really squealy Axl Rose type in here. And I think they kind of turn him into the Joker almost. Like some of the
Joker,
antics,
baby.
He's the drug pushing Joker with some of his onstage antics, which also kind of perfect if you want to, like, this guy's supposed to represent the I just want to piss people off and get high thing. Like, okay, the Joker. It's not righteous rebellion at that point. It's just nihilism.
hear that, Matt Reeves? Have the Joker smoke a blunt in the Batman 2. That's the only way it'll be a success. And fuck Barry Keoghan. Get Billy Joe Armstrong to play the Joker, because why not?
Why so serious, Batman? That's my Billy Joe, apparently. God.
I mean,
He
it
sounds
sounds
like
like him when he's like, I'm not fucking Justin Bieber.
That's what I'm riffing on.
What about you, Garrett? What other songs and moments you want to talk about in this show?
I remember 21st Century Breakdown when it came out. I did not like that album very much. Felt it was too long, and there were a lot of little melody moments in that album that I thought, wait, you used this already. Know Your Enemy's bridge is just Jesus of Suburbia's chorus. But then as soon as Know Your Enemy comes up in the show, they cut back, like, where it would go, the insurgency will rise. They cut back to Wail Back Home, and there's nothing wrong with me. I'm like, somebody noticed! They also thought that those were extremely similar, and they worked it into the thing!
They did it on purpose. It was all just for that. They did it for the Broadway show.
Yeah, but you know what they should have done? They should have had them watching Full House, and then they could sing everywhere you look. and connected it all together.
Gosh. But yeah, some of the in terms of just like, I talked about this earlier. I jumped the gun a bit, apologies. But in terms of adding more songs to the show, some of the picks I don't necessarily agree with. I don't think you necessarily need Last Night on Earth in there. That's one I always skip when I boot up 21st Century Breakdown. Mm-hmm. It's weird having 21 Guns on there with Boulevard of Broken Dreams, because when that album came out, 21 Guns was criticized for sounding too much like Boulevard of Broken Dreams. And and unlike Boulevard, they don't arrange it in a way that everybody is kind of able to be in their range appropriately, so you have this song suddenly having 5 different key changes, it feels like.
Okay, I didn't even notice that.
Oh yeah, because they're putting it in places that like the female leads can sing. So what's her name starts off singing it, and she's in a different key from where the song was originally written. Full band kicks in, suddenly they're in the original key again, and they handle the transitions very nicely. But it's also, it makes it feel a little bit like, okay, and now we're transposing again.
121 guns, lay down your arms, give up the fight. 121 guns, throw up your arms into the sky, you and I. When you're at the end of the road.
Okay, now I'm pulling it up. You're 100% right. It does sound weird to have females singing it in that. I guess I was just too blinded by Full House in the moment to pay attention.
And again, your first exposure was the Kids Bop version of Wake Me Up When September Ends, so these weren't baked into your brain when you saw the show.
And my second exposure, The Simpsons movie.
That'll do it.
Oh shit, they were in there too. They played the theme song, right?
That's one of the first songs I put on my iPod.
Da, 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 da. They got paid. That is probably the thing that dates that movie the most, sadly. They're like, oh, that's so 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a period piece now.
Yeah, I mean, it's as much as any other episode of The Simpsons, because now, Homer's a millennial.
But
it's actually true. They've aged them up so much.
Yeah. One other show exclusive arrangement I actually really like. It's how they handle She's a Rebel, because, again, somebody in production agreed with me that Last of the American Girls of 21st Century Breakdown is just She's a Rebel again. So they turned it into a lead-in to She's a Rebel. And then they add in that kick-ass key change at the end, and St. Jimmy comes in and starts reprising the St. Jimmy song in the background of it. I just thought, in terms of making a pretty straightforward power pop song more theatrically minded, I'm like, oh shit, you can do that.
I mean,
something
go ahead.
Just something I liked about a lot of the arrangements is that they would just go from one song to the next song, boom boom, without even a break or anything, which was really nice.
And it makes for a more smooth listening experience, as that's part of the reason why I think Jesus Christ Superstar works for me. It is the album on stage. This even has 1 or 2 lines, but they don't have proper book scenes the way the musicals do, and would frustrate me if I was an audience member here.
I was disappointed that, at no point did What's Her Name stop and ask Johnny, well, what Pokemon are you planning to take into battle? Because we need 3 lines of dialogue to lead into this next number all about Pikachu.
What kind of Pokemon are you? Well, that leads me to my next question, Garrett. If you had to assign me, Andrew, and yourself a Green Day song that we're most like...
Goodness. This could get
one
really
that would play as our wrestling theme if we walked in. Let's just make that a little easier.
I mean, Andrew, you're definitely St. Jimmy, because, you'd come out to, and that's my name, and don't you fucking wear it out.
Beautiful.
I can see that.
You've also got, because, you've got the really long hair right now, so you've got, all the attitude that comes with it.
My favorite Green Day song is Basket Case, obviously.
That one's great.
But it doesn't work for me though, like as a theme song.
I feel well because anybody claiming that Basket Case is their theme song is 14 on MySpace.
Yeah.
You see, kids, MySpace was this thing.
It's like Facebook if it didn't suck.
And no matter what, you have one friend, his name's Tom. He sold it for a lot of money, and now he's probably just being a nice guy.
Just looking over his shoulder at everybody. Let's see, Jess. I'm going over the whole ass catalog because like there's just so gosh dang it. Are you? I don't know if you're early stage Green Day. I don't know if you. Is it off Warning? Gosh dang it.
What's the one from the album you didn't like? Like one of the Uno Dos Tres?
That is 36 songs for me to parse through. Gosh dang it.
What's the worst Green Day song? Because I'll take that.
Fuck Time.
It's full time. You know I really wanna make you mine. Oh baby, baby, it's full time.
I'm Fuck Time.
That was off of Dose.
Jess McAnally 0.
Hey! Don't you go quoting a lasagna cat at me and thinking I won't notice? Don't you put that devil on me. I'm not going to live that John Arbuckle to baby.
It's just because I know that we are all like multifaceted individuals, but Jess, like, you know, part of my core conception of you is being you've got a little bit of cinnamon bun in you, so you might be early Green Day. You're like going to Pasalacqua. Billy wrote all these really sappy love songs in their early days, but they had a little bit of an edge to them. So I think you are the song going to Pasalacqua, I would say.
Garrett, what about yourself?
Oh God, I'm all of them and none of them. Shoot. The one I want to say is really like depressing, but in an empowering way. It's called Still Breathing. But
You're still breathing. I mean, that is accurate.
Yeah, that is true. No, that's the one he wrote. That's basically reflecting on, yeah, I was having a bad time in 2013, hence iHeartRadio, but I'm still here.
On that note, what is our overall thoughts on American Idiot, the musical, and our cheese ratings? Andrew, why don't you go first?
Yeah. This show is it's what you think it is. I mean, I feel like when you hear American Idiot and it's a Broadway show, you imagine that it's a bunch of Broadway people doing Green Day songs, and that's what it is. I feel like the narrative to me felt like a bit of a mess. Like it was difficult for me to follow. I think there was maybe too many characters for me. I think that should have maybe stuck with the one protagonist instead of three. I feel like that was a bit much. We didn't need it. But I mean, realistically, I think that they did a good job with the material and did what they set out to do, which is make American Idiot the musical. And I can't really fault them for that. I'm not a huge Green Day fan, so it's really not for me, and I'm not going to be super judgmental.
You did think
about
they
the
were
music
from
or anything.
Canada before we started this.
I'm pretty sure they are. I'm still pretty sure about that. Isn't it like Toronto? Jeez, I'm stalling as I'm trying to think of a good cheese for this.
I know, I'm trying to riff with you, and you're not helping.
I got mine locked and loaded, so you better not steal it.
Yeah, Andrew.
If it's American cheese, I mean, I feel like that's too obvious, but like, is it too obvious though? Like
the real American Idiot over here.
It's punk music though. I mean, I feel like pounding you in the face with the message is kind of the point. So maybe we just go with American Cheese. I mean, fuck it.
It's a musical that melts without splitting.
Hey.
Look at that.
All right, Garrett, you're up.
Similar to Andrew, you hear American Idiot as a musical, you kind of know what you're going to get. I appreciate a lot of they got more creative with a lot of arrangements than they had to. I don't think every, soundtrack choice is a hit, but there's more hits than misses. And even if it's, uncanny as hell, I don't even necessarily mind the weird diction half the time. But this was, though, a lot more intense than a lot of the people I saw the show with in the same theater. So I'm going to give this extra sharp cheddar because, you know what to expect from cheddar cheese, but not everybody can handle it when it's extra sharp.
I always get extra sharp.
I guess it's my turn. I like this. I had a good time, but Green Day is... I appreciate Billy Joe Armstrong as a human being, as a figure, as an activist, as someone that speaks his mind. His music outside of like the hits that played on Kids Bop, I really don't find that much attraction to me. But also, I'm not a big fan of any pop music or any kind of populist music. I'm a theater guy. I don't have good taste. You should know this by now. It's been 300 episodes.
You haven't heard their cover of Street Where You Live?
I have often walked down the street before.
Fuck you, Higgins!
Just you wait, Henry Higgins. Just you wait. Sorry, but your tears will be too late. That would actually fuck. Now I'm actually imagining that.
You kind of have an idea there, actually.
I'm gonna grab give me a couple hours and I'll get back to you.
I would. Okay, I wish I could commission this.
Well, a little bit of luck would actually. You could just turn a little bit of luck into Saint Jimmy, and I think that would work pretty well, actually.
I did it
with Shoeless Joe from Hannibal Moe. I can do it with a little bit of luck.
I'm skipping to my cheese rating. I am giving this classic Billy Joe's cheeseburger from Billy Joe's Cheeseburger Emporium at Weirdworks.
Is this a place?
Yeah.
This is real, I guess.
Yeah, it's a real place in Newburgh, New York.
Is this
the sounds like a redneck agenda. I'm sorry.
More like the MAGA agenda. Did I trigger you?
Repubs.
Got him.
Speaking of Repubs, Garrett, thank you for joining us today.
Why is that speaking of Repubs?
That was a mean transition. What the fuck, dude?
Repubs thinking he's a good guy.
I mean, I did grow up in Orange County, so I just missed it. They almost had me.
You are an incredible talent, a kind person, and you deserve all great things in the world. I've been a fan of you for a very long time, so being able to chat with you and be able to call you a friend is a true joy to me, and I am very grateful for the opportunity to be able to chat with you. Please promote your wonderful content for the world to see.
The heck is this? What are you doing to me? You're being so nice. You're being so...
Fuck you! Stop being nice to me, asshole! What's this, a game?
I'm not even Justin fucking Bieber, you motherfuckers. You can find me performing under the name Ilneige. It's French. I should have picked something different, but I didn't. On YouTube, I write parody songs. I am also songwriting my way through the Pokédex. It is slow, but not so steady progress. My latest one was about Quaxley in the style of the DuckTales theme.
Woo woo.
Yeah. You can also find my songs on Spotify and iTunes and Apple Music, all of that. Nobody uses iTunes anymore except me because I'm a Luddite.
I do too.
Yeah. Stand strong, brother. And is that it? I think that's it. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok under Ilneige YT for YouTube, not for white. ILNEIGE.
But you are also white.
I am extremely white.
In case you were thinking he was an Eskimo.
No, the patrons can see what my ring light is doing to my complexion right now.
And I know you're probably gonna cringe and be like, "Don't do this." I really love your Pokemon reviews, your Pokemon reviews. I know they're probably 1,000 years old at this point.
That's fun. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think they're great, and I try to recommend some lesser-known ones. And I know this will definitely make you cringe if those ones didn't. Your What We Had to Watch series from 1,000 years ago. Your Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie one specifically triggers a very specific feeling of nostalgia because I was not a Yu-Gi-Oh person. My brother was, which meant he forced me and my mother to go see the Yu-Gi-Oh movie, and I had no fucking idea. I was like, they're just flipping fucking cards. What? $10?
Well, that one, that's not one that's tinged with regret for me, so I'm glad you like that one.
Yeah, that one's great because it's just like, oh yeah, that is a very specific childhood memory. He had to go see that movie because he needed that fucking stupid card. Thank you guys for listening. Please follow us on iTunes and Spotify, Musicals with Cheese. We're on Twitter at Cheesy Musicals, Patreon Musicals with Cheese, Instagram Musicals with Cheese, YouTube page Musicals with Cheese, Patreon only podcast, Patreon with Cheese, where you can hear the Camp Rock 2 commentary. Email us at musicaltheaterliz@gmail.com to tell us how we're wrong about Billy Joel Armstrong. And Billy Joel, fuck him too. Our keeper of the cheese is Juliet Antonio. Now, Garrett. Juliet does a little bit in the ASMR community, so every time we have a guest, I try to have them do a little bit of ASMR for our friend Juliet. Would you mind lending us some?
1 minute. You're gonna tell me I have 1 fucking minute? Let me tell you something. Let me fucking tell you something. I've been around since 1988, and you're gonna tell me I have 1 minute? I'm not Justin fucking Bieber, you motherfuckers.
Bravo.
I used to keep my stuff PG.
Nah, fuck that. This show is edited by Andrew DeWolf. Our theme songs were created by Robyn, Nash, Value Music UK. Thank you to the Broadway Podcast Network for having us on the platform and for not kicking us off for, putting a big old middle finger to the worst president, President Bush. It'll never get worse than
Hot
that.
take.
That's true.
So, Edge.
Goddamn HW, the worst president.
Lyndon be
Man.
sucking, am I right?
Hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today? I'm edgy.
Damn, those people were
Hoover,
right
I
there.
hardly know her.
William G. Harding, more like William G. Softing.
I had 5
God,
ideas of
even
where you were
talking
going with that, and you did none of them. So way to keep me on my toes.
Because you're soft on the middle classes, am I right?
William Henry
what?
Harrison, what's with all the H's?
Hey, Garfield, way to get shot on a Monday. All right, we'll see you next time. You know what? I think people should learn things when they listen to a podcast. Sure, they could listen to Pod Save America, but they chose this, so I'm giving them whatever fun facts I've got.
Give him the knowledge, knowledge.
One 21 guns everywhere you look. Everywhere there's a heart of somebody who needs you.